Okay, this video is about complementary angles. So complementary angles, the easiest way to describe what a complementary angle is that it is two angles, all right, that add up to, or sum, add up to 90 degrees. All right, it's that simple. So it's two angles that add up to 90 degrees. And they say that if you have those two angles, they are complementary and that they are complements of one another. And this is different from like a compliment, like saying, gee, your hair looks really nice today, right? If an angle is a complement of another angle, it means those two angles add up to be 90 degrees. And you can tell the difference basically in how it's spelled is that the angle version, complement, has an E, whereas if you're saying something nice to somebody, it's an I. All right, but we won't mess with that, right? We'll stay away from that and leave that to the language arts classes. So two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So an example of complementary angles would be if I have my right angle here, okay? And then supposing I have one angle right here. Okay, let's put our rays on it. And then we would say this angle right here. So we'd say angle 1 and we'd say angle 2. So we would say angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. All right. And then that would also mean that angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees. And we can use this to help us solve some problems from time to time. So that's the whole point of us kind of going over this right here. So let's look at a couple examples of what those might look like. All right. So supposing I have my right angle, okay, and then I have, and if I know it's a right angle, and I don't know if I did this on the other one. Yeah, I was missing something really important there. I was missing that. So on this one, I have my right angle, and supposing I've got an angle, and I'm gonna do a different color here. Supposing I've got an angle right here that goes out like that. And I know that that angle is 35 degrees. So my question for you then is, what is the measure of x? All right, in degrees, what is the measure of x? Well, what you would do is you would say, well, I know that complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So what I know is I know that if I take my 35 degrees, which is this angle right here, and if I add it to x, right, whatever that may be, I know that that is going to equal 90 degrees. And so at this point, it just becomes a one-step algebra equation. So we just go, oh, well, all right. I want to get x by itself, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. Okay, and a lot of you are probably like, well, I didn't even do this as an equation. I just want 90 minus 35. But that's in effect what this is. This is just a more formalized approach to it. 35 minus 35 gives you 0 over here. And then over here, you would get to 55 degrees. That's what x is. And so x equals 55 degrees. So that's a basic way of using complementary angles. Let's look at one slightly more complicated version of what some of the problems you might see. So let's set up our angle again. So if I have this, right, and then I have another angle Say I got this, okay? And don't let me forget, put in my right angle thing here. All right, now supposing somebody tells me, okay, the measure of this angle is x, but the measure of this angle is 2x. So this angle right here is 2 times bigger than this angle right here. Okay, so how can I use this to solve an equation and to figure out what the measure of both of these angles are? Well, I know that if I add them together, because they are complementary angles, and the reason I know they're complementary is because they're two angles that make up this whole angle right here, which is a right angle. All right, so that's what we're going off of here. So I know that 2x plus x, because they're complementary angles, is going to equal 90 degrees. And it's really, it's not complicated. It's just looking at it and saying, okay, I know they're going to be 90. And I know the sum of them is going to be 90. And so I just set up a real simple equation here. 2x plus x gives me 3x. And then I have 3x equals 90. Got my little fence set up. We're going to divide each side by 3 to get x by itself. And then you get x is 30 degrees. And so in order to finish my answer, that I've now figured out what this is. So I know that x is 30 degrees. And then if I want to figure out what 2x is, well, I know 2x is equal to 2 times x, which and x in this case is 30. So that would give me 60. So this angle is 60 degrees. And so at that point, we have our answers and we've solved the problem. So basically, if you can just remember that two angles that add up to make a right angle are called complementary. They're complements of one another and they add up to 90 degrees. You are in good shape.